Let me now review the services you'll need to publish your HTML pages to the World Wide Web. You'll not need to be connected to the internet, neither while viewing these movies nor while making your websites. You can view your HTML work directly in your browser from files saved to your local hard drive. However, to share your work with the world, you'll need to find a web host for your site, unless you want to run your own web server. Running your own web server is pretty expensive, complicated, and not recommended since it's pretty inexpensive to find someone else to host your pages. By choosing a web host, your site will then be available to the world all day, every day. If you're making a personal website, you can choose to get a website from your local internet service provider or ISP, or sign up for free web space at a host, or you can go with a domain host. Although the price is right, especially if you're just setting up a practice site for learning, there are several disadvantages to using a free host like this one here, 000webhost.com. Although the price is right, especially if you're just setting up a practice site for learning, there are several disadvantages of going with a free host. One, free hosts show banner ads or pop-up windows or both to pay for your service, so it's really not free. Two, there's no way to turn off the ads on a free service. Three, free hosts limit the amount of web space you get, usually to around 20 megabytes or maybe a little bit more. Also, free hosts also limit the number of visitors that you can receive in a month. And often, free hosts are more unreliable, and getting help for issues related to your website is often difficult or impossible. So if you decide to go with a paid hosting service, you'll normally pay somewhere between $3 and $10 a month for basic service. Here's a company offering three types of web hosting. The economy plan at $5 per month, deluxe plan at $7 per month, and an unlimited plan at $15 per month. Now there are some advantages to paying a little bit of money for a provider to host your web pages that you'll be creating. To start with, most paid providers will provide you thousands of megabytes of web space, that will be gigabytes of web space, for your HTML files, graphics, and multimedia. They will not shut off your account if you exceed a certain number of visitors. They also provide plenty of email addresses customized for your domain name with generous storage. They provide high-speed lines to ensure your site loads faster. And perhaps most importantly, when you're starting, they'll provide you dedicated support for any help you may need in establishing your website and moving your files from your local computer up to their web servers. And then lastly, they'll place no ads on your site, although you can add ads yourself if you want to make a little bit of money off of your website. So if you're making a personal website and you want to look professional, or you're making a business website or a website for an organization such as a church or nonprofit, you'll probably want to get a dedicated, or you want to pay for a host to host your pages. You'll also probably want to get a domain name. More about domain names in a minute. Now once you sign up for a host, you should get 4 important pieces of information to help you transfer your files from your local hard drive up to the web server. You should get an FTP address where you can post your files, a username to log into your FTP address, a password to log into that FTP address, and then a URL where visitors can actually see your pages. Now if you've purchased a domain name, then you'll just type your domain name into a browser to see your pages. However, you'll usually need to register and pay for a domain name. A domain name is a web address that ends in .com, .org, .net, .biz, or .br, or some other similar ending. To get a domain name, you first check that it has not already been registered by someone else. For example, here on the GoDaddy site, they have a domain registration checker here. Let's go ahead and enter in wine.com and do a search on that. We'll find that that name has already been taken, but then usually the provider will suggest other names that are available. EasyFreeWine.com is available. YourFreeWine.com is also available. So once you locate an available domain name, you'll pay the registration fee, and then a registration company like GoDaddy will go ahead and register that name for you, and you'll just have to pay a small yearly fee to maintain that name. Now whenever someone types in www.yourdomainname.com in their web browser, your web page will just pop up in the browser. The most important feature of a domain name is that you own it. And when you register a domain, you will own that name worldwide. As long as you've picked a legal name for it and not someone else's trademark, no one will be able to take that name from you once you've registered it and maintain your registration. Locating, registering, and maintaining a domain name will cost some money, but there are some advantages. One, your URL will never change when you print a flyer or include an URL in a book. You don't have to worry about that name changing. Also, domain names look better than being on someone else's site with their domain name. Also, your email address will never have to change. If you own the domain name, then your email address will just be you@yourdomainname.com or .net or .org, and that will always work. Also, you have the freedom to move your website. There are thousands of domain hosts to choose from, so you can pick a new one whenever you want and then just transfer your website over to that new host. Also, domain hosts don't show ads on your site unless you want to add ads and then collect the revenue for those ads. Now, HTML has been in continuous evolution since it was first introduced to the internet in the early 1990s, and there are a number of different versions and flavors. So let me now move on to the next movie and give you a quick history of HTML and a review of its various versions and related technologies.